Look.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kerry. Kerry leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it hard.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
No sympathy in this game, indeed. Hello, and you're very welcome to episode 269 of Treaty Talk. Tom Clancy here again alongside Matt O'Callaghan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspapers. Matt, how's all in South County Limerick? It's further south than I, of course, but how's all in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, all is very good, Tom. And we had a very interesting meeting last night, actually, in Bulgadin Castle. It was a meeting of the South Board, but it morphed into the formation of a centenary committee, because this year the South Board is 100 years old. So a centenary committee has been formed. Yours truly is part of it, because I was a member of the board for 11 years, between 10 years secretary and 1 year as vice chairperson. And we plan to have a big hoolie on the 5th of October. And nice. We plan to mark the landmark occasion, you know, with a series of events on that particular weekend. So it's only in its embryonic stage at this stage. It's in its real infancy. But over the coming weeks, Tom, you'll probably hear me talking about it. But take a note of it. The South Board is 100 years old this year, and it will be celebrated on the 5th of October in Bulgadin Castle. So more about that and on. But before we move on, Tom, I would like to give a shout out. I was asked to do this a couple of weeks ago to Jim King, who is in St. Catherine's in Newcastle West. Jim is an avid follower of Treaty Talk every week. Hope you're listening in this week, Jim, and that everything is going well with you. We'll try and keep you up to date as best we can with all that is happening in Limerick GAA.
Yeah, superb, yeah. And we send the hello from the south here, the two of us in the south this evening, to the west. So the handshake is across there, and as indeed, hopefully, Jim is...
Tom, I forgot now that you're an adopted South man.
See, I'm expecting the invite now, Matt, 5th of October. Yeah. I'm just looking at my calendar here. I'm going to clear it off. And I'm expecting the red carpet out for an adopted South
You're
man.
nearly more southern now than the southerners ourselves, you know, at this stage.
Yeah,
you're integrating very well into South Limerick. But, of course, we're a very welcoming people out here, you know.
Yes, indeed. I've collected medals at the lower grades of the football in the city and in the the east, I should say, last year. So maybe in time I might try and collect one in the south as well. But harder, and I'm sure you'll agree, Matt.
Will we see you on the red jersey of Bruff anytime soon?
Oh, I don't know. There could be a long queue for my signature, or there may be no queue at all. But anyway, there we are. Right.
Will there be a dispute there, or where would you be Knockany?
Oh, I don't know. Hotly debated now, and I'd say the two clubs are at loggerheads now to decide that one. But hopefully they can come to a reasonable conclusion. But nevertheless,
on that one, Tom, we'll watch this space, won't we?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the highest bidder. Now we'll move on to actual matters in Limerick GAA. More important things that people want to listen to would be the Limerick hurlers. We saw the Kerry point. It's not a million miles away before we'll be meeting Clare in the Munster Championship, but the league is still, of course, hotly on the agenda. And a trip to probably Limerick's second home, Matt, over the past 5 or 6 seasons in Croke Park, albeit a league game with Dublin. But any day we're heading to Croke Park to follow the Limerick hurlers, it promises to be a good day. And it'd be interesting to see what way this one unfolds, which is on Saturday evening.
It will be very interesting. Of course, we're going for three from three And were we to pick up a third win, I think it would actually copper passing our place in Division 1 for next year. That by my reckoning, because Antrim and Westmeath would have 2 defeats, and Dublin would have 2 defeats at that stage. So I think Limerick would be comfortably in the top 3. But it's going to be a very interesting game. For so long, after 1973, practically until 2018, Croke Park was our graveyard of our hopes. There is no place that I left more often more disappointed than Croke Park when I think of semi-finals and finals and all that sort of thing. Well, we had a good semi-final victory in 2007, but apart from that, that was just a once-off beacon. As they'd call in the country on a bad summer, a pet day if you got a fine day. But yeah, look, Dublin, of course, when Limerick have won 2 games, Dublin lost their opening game to Parnell Park to Tipperary. Lost quite handsomely now. And then were put to the pin of their collar to beat Antrim in Corrigan Park the last time out, last Sunday week. Now, the last time that Limerick met Dublin, by my reckoning, was in 2019, when they met in the semi-final in Nolan Park. Yeah. And Limerick were pushed to the very limit to beat Dublin by 3 points. So they can sometimes prove to be very, very difficult customers. But you're right about it's Limerick's home from home. But again, we'll be watching particularly to see what the Limerick line-out will be. It'll be most interesting, because one thing that's gone off the landscape at the moment now is the Fitzgibbon Cup, and we'll be talking about the final of that later. But commitments of players to the Fitzgibbon Cup, that is over for now. And you're right, of course, that the game with Clare now is on the horizon. It's less than 2 months away, 2 calendar months. So it'll be very interesting to see what lineup John Kiley will come with. I will imagine that you will see more of the All-Ireland team back for their first appearance. I think it'll be a pretty strong team. It'll be interesting to see if the like of Shane O'Brien, Adam English, who were tied, Colin Coughlin, who were tied up with the, and others who were tied, Fergie O'Connor, who were tied up with the Fitzgibbon Cup, if they will be back, especially on the starting 15. Look, Dublin can be tricky. Micheál O'Donoghue, who is a very, very good manager. He led Dublin to Galway, his native Galway, to victory in the 2017 All-Ireland final, and he was on the losing end to Limerick in the 2018 final. And I'll always remember in the press room afterwards, Tom, a more magnanimous man couldn't have come in there to react to the All-Ireland final defeat. So Micheál O'Donoghue is a manager with pedigree, and he'll be doing his best, obviously, to try and pick up a second win for Dublin. But I'm going for Limerick to win this one and make it 3 from 3, Tom, and get the business of qualifying for Division 1 in 2025 out of the way and off the agenda. So with 2 home games against Galway, against Tipperary and Galway, to really test themselves and build up the momentum and build up everything that they need for that trip to Clare on the 21st of April.
Yeah, obviously it's Dublin and Limerick, but it's very hard to know, particularly from the Limerick side of things, what sort of 15 they'll go with. But I think I'd agree with you that they will get closer. There's guys that probably have more training done, and must remember a lot of these guys that are kind of the more seasoned guys are that bit older now, and I'm not saying they're over the hill by any means, but certainly at 27, 28, 29, 30, those guys, they don't need to play every game. They don't need to play against Westmeath or Antrim, and a lot of them wouldn't. They probably just need to get up to speed for the closer to the championship, and it's probably the way the model that Limerick applied last year, and obviously ended up with an extra 2 games in the league semi-final and final. But I suppose the big thing for Limerick is an opportunity to get guys out in Croke Park, guys that maybe are not accustomed to it. Donnacha O'Dalig is one that has done well in the league so far. His only appearance, to my knowledge, in Croke Park was with Mona Lean about 15 months ago or 14 months ago, when he he really turned it on at the Hill 16 end in the second half. But guys like him, Fergal O'Connor is definitely one who's put his hand up with his Fitzgibbon performances, and indeed his performances for Limerick in the early season. And maybe he'll be hoping to put on a number 2 or a number 4 at the weekend. And there'll be other guys like that they might think this is a great opportunity for them to stake a claim for a day out in the big house.
Absolutely. I agree totally with you. And you mentioned there the league semi-final and final. I don't think that's probably that will not come into consideration at the moment. If it happens, it happens. But John Kiley will and his management team, and they have managed their players fantastic, and their players' workload fantastically over the last 6 or 7 years. There can be no argument about it. 5 All-Irelands in 6 years, unless you manage your players and their workload properly, you're not going to get that kind of a response. But I think, let's get Dublin out of the way and hopefully pick up another 2 points, and let's take it from there. Are we really worried whether we get to league semi-final or final? I think the sole focus of the panel will be try and get what's to be done in the league done, and the sole focus will be on Clare. And well and good if we get to semi-final and a final. But I can't see it being a priority.
No, definitely not. And I think it's the easiest way to look at that is if Limerick won the league and didn't get through a Munster or didn't end up winning Liam McCarthy again, would anyone remember the league win? And absolutely not. Players and management alike, it would be put a footnote on their season. So the big focus obviously is on the championship, as it will be for a lot of teams. But maybe Dublin is a good test, because Dublin will want to stay in the top tier. So they're going to need the points. They're not going to be experimenting. They're going to go close to their best 15, I'd imagine, and see can they put it up to whatever the team Limerick put out. But it's a double treat for GAA fanatics, Matt, who are heading to HQ. Obviously, Limerick is the curtain raiser, as it were, but the big game in football as well the weekend. Dublin and Kerry, which always strikes a note, league or championship, with Gaels around the place. But a nice treat for people to be able to indulge in that one as well on Saturday evening. Those who
where my allegiance lies in that one, Tom. I don't have to repeat it.
It's not anywhere near the Liffey anyway, I'd say, is it?
No.
But it's good. It's good that it's a double header for as I say, GAA fanatics. I know some Kerry people would lean towards Limerick and hurling, and vice versa. Some Limerick people would lean towards Kerry in football. I personally don't understand it, but nevertheless, that's kind of a tradition and a thing that people carry down the years. And you get to see some of the best footballers in the country on Saturday evening. Those who either get to train with the Limerick team as it's been advertised, or make their own way up. So a nice treat, considering especially Limerick haven't had a game on in their actual home this season. This might be the one, as we say, in the home from home, a nice one, and hopefully a nice, I wouldn't say a warm February evening, but hopefully not a good weather day on Saturday afternoon.
The first of 3 games in Croke Park, we hope, Tom.
That's it, yeah, exactly, yeah, simple as that, yeah. All-Ireland semi-final and final, of course, the match is alluding to there, but we shall see. What's it, 5:15, I believe, throwing on Saturday? Is it 5:15?
That's correct, Tom, yeah.
And those unable to make it, I think TG Cahir YouTube page, I believe, is streaming the game. If not, it's not YouTube, it's their app. It's certainly available on one of their platforms. So, and I also know our friends at Live 95 are carrying full commentary of the game as well. So plenty of opportunities for people to stay in touch with the game if they can't make it to headquarters in Dublin. Matt, the other pieces of business before we get to the Fitzgibbon Cup, which I was at last Sunday, Artscail Reach, doing what they, I suppose, one of the steps is what they did a couple of years ago. They lost the Harty Cup final a couple of years ago, bounced back to win the Croke Cup. They took the first steps along that road. They beat Presentation at Athenry, and they're setting up a rematch, which we'll discuss at length next week. But a rematch, I'd say a rematch in terms of the schools, with the famous St. Kieran's College of Kilkenny. But good to see them bounce back, Matt, after that gut-wrenching loss in the Munster decider.
Absolutely fantastic. And I'd say, Tom, even though I think they trailed Presentation at half time, but they came very good in the second half. But it's nothing more than I think we expected. That you would get Ard Scoil Reach. They have such a stellar cast in that squad. That this is more or less what you expected. But the real test is down the road, because all the murmurings coming out of Leinster this year is that Kilkenny and St. Kieran's College have an exceptionally good side. But of course, we had that 2 years ago, and Ard Scoil beat them in the All Ireland final.
Yes,
So.
yeah.
You have to listen to thunder, but it's going to be the real test, as St. Kieran's always are. They're not leading the Roll of Honour in the Dr. Croke Cup by accident or for fun. They are absolutely fantastic when it comes to that competition. They've really made it their own. But I still think that I've seen Ard Scoil a couple of times in the flesh this year, and I believe the quality is in. I think I saw one or two of them with you, Tom.
Yeah.
And we may have discussed it, but I think the quality is in that squad to win an All Ireland.
Yeah.
So we'll be discussing it in greater length next week, but I'm not in the slightest bit surprised that Ard Scoil are progressing in the Dr. Croke.
Absolutely, yeah. And we'll discuss Scoil Pole Kilfinnan's involvement, of course, in those games as well next week. Fixture details up in the air a bit, but I think it's Saturday the 2nd. We'll have venues hopefully and the exact throw-in times and all that next week. So we'll put that
on that very point, it's time they come down off the air.
Yeah,
it's time that we're reaching an All-Ireland semi-final stage, and if the games are to be properly promoted, at least people are entitled to know when they're on and where they're on and at what time they're on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, now you have trawled various websites, as I have trawled, hoping to find the information, but it seems to be elusive at the moment.
Yeah, I saw it somewhere the other day, but not easy to find again, I can tell you. So I know I did see that the TBC, of course, was beside the Ard Scoil Reach semi-final in terms of a venue. So look, we'll iron it out when we have it. But some people think we're in the know, Matt, whereas in the dark as anyone else sometimes with these fixtures. So
like I put it to you, the Munster schools rugby semi-finals were on this week, and they were well flagged in advance by the examiner, who, by the way, streamed them, both of them.
Yeah.
Chris, CBC and Old Crescent, and PBC and my alma mater, St. Munchin's College. They were both streamed live, but we knew well in advance.
3 weeks.
We haven't had any problem in finding it now.
Yeah, no.
But in fairness, when it came to the Harty Cup, we hadn't much problem either. It's when we go that step further that there seems to be some kind of an information. I don't know if it is a blackout. I think that would probably be exaggerating it, but the information becomes more elusive, Tom.
Certainly does, yeah. And as I said, we'll try and get it for people next week, and we'll let you know when we have it. I mentioned an All Ireland final already there in the Fitzgibbon Cup, Matt. The venue was Abbeydorney in North Kerry. There were a couple of reasons for that. One of the reasons being, of course, that MTU in Kerry was the host college, and people probably were wondering why two Limerick colleges to go down there. This is the format for these competitions. They have a host campus, and regardless of who's in the final, they'll be played in that county or indeed that college if they can host it. The Sigerson, the football equivalent, was played last Wednesday. That was played between DCU and University of Ulster. They had to come all the way down to Kerry.
Tom, it was UCD actually.
UCD, I should say, UCD of Dublin, obviously, and University of Ulster, who won it out in today. So just to explain that to people, where the venue thing arises from, and Abbeydorney then chosen with Austin Stack Park unavailable, I believe, due to the Kerry inter-county game. Out to Abbeydorney we went.
But just before you go to Abbeydorney, the Sigerson Cup final, I think it was a fantastic. Now they beat UCC in the first round. University of Ulster. But my understanding is that Conor Glass and Young Footballer of the Year, Ethan Doherty, were both eligible to play for him, but didn't.
Yeah,
the manager. It's an absolutely tremendous performance on the part of Ulster University.
The manager, and I thought it was commendable. He didn't. I don't believe he darkened their door to play. They had obviously been involved with their club into the All Ireland Club series and all the rest of it, and back with Derry, and he didn't want to overburden them. And also, I don't even think it was that. Didn't think he wanted to remove, a lesser light, as it were, or a player that maybe could have been squeezed out by it. So he trusted his panel, and I suppose he was rewarded with the success. But I thought that was commendable this day and age, especially with a player like Conor Glass. It would be so easy just to catapult him in there for a final, and you'd hopefully do the damage for you. But with the Canavan brothers, they had plenty in their arsenal and they got over the line. But the hurling final, if it's given cup final, I was in situ for a great atmosphere below in Abbey Dorney. Nice intimate ground, a good club ground, as the people of North Kerry and the people of the hurling strongholds down there would know. And it was Mary I claiming their third title over UL, who were looking for their 10th, but their third in a row. Matt, did you catch much of this game? It was
I caught every bit of it, and some of it twice that I played it back.
Yeah.
A very, very interesting game. You'd have to say a surprise result, but maybe not a major surprise result. And it was so heartening to see the Limerick input from both sides. Like Jason Gillan in goal, he scores a goal in 3 points. Your goalkeeper.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened too often, You have Shane O'Brien, and you had Vince Harrington also started.
Yeah.
And you just have to put up a flash there of Colin O'Brien. He's not too far from the Limerick border there in Liscarroll, not too far up there from Culloher. So congratulations to Colin on being the captain, But it was a great day for Mary Immaculate, and a tremendous achievement from Jamie Wall, in that he has, in comparison with the like of UL and other colleges, like his peak is restricted somewhat in that he has lesser to choose from. But certainly talk about making the most of your resources, he certainly did. But they got a great start, fantastic start. But they had a strong wind with them, and I think, was it 6 points at halftime, or was it 4 points at halftime? Four at halftime. Garrod O'Connor got a goal before halftime. You're right, and you said after the first 3 points of the second half went to UL, and you said to yourself, this is it now. They're going to drive on. But the way that Mary Immaculate dug in the last quarter was so commendable. Absolutely, and they really made it very clear that they were not making up numbers, and it was a tremendous performance. Now Shane O'Brien didn't get on the score sheet, but he was hugely influential. There's no doubt. He was moved to midfield, moved out around the middle third, and had a huge impact in that area. Like you'd have to say now, and this is not green mist in my eyes or anything. If you look at the UL team, certainly it wasn't the Limerick players that left them down. I'm not saying that anybody left them down. But the Limerick players, I thought Conor Handy Clark, Fergal O'Connor, I thought had a fantastic game.
Great competition, entirely. For the entirety of the game.
You spoke earlier about him. He is absolutely growing in stature as a hurler, and as not just a college's hurler now, but a county senior hurler. But I think he showed signs of that in 2022 when he was pulled back for the under-21 team. He didn't put his foot wrong too often in that run either. So Fergal has a huge future. Like you had Colin Coughlin, you had Adam English, you had Aidan O'Connor. They all played their part, and I suppose it's very hard to say to somebody from UL this was a memorable final, because if you lose a final, it's inevitably a final, or invariably a final to forget. But I honestly think it was a memorable final. First of all, it was a Limerick derby, but to cast that aside and look at it from a hurling point of view, I thought the hurling and the excitement in it was second to none, Tom.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about this competition, with all due respects to Colm O'Rourke wanting to move it and this, that, and the other thing. But we've been talking about this competition for year in, year out, and we've been talking about its importance in the hurling hierarchy. And there can't be any better ad And there anything, better for the proponents of this competition than this year's final.
Yeah.
Like, it had everything. Like, this year's competition had everything, Tom, because the semi-finals were quite good as well. They had the semi-final, and I think you were at it, were you, between UL and University of Galway?
I was, yeah. I was at plenty of games in this competition. Yeah, I love getting out to them,
Yeah,
games,
another cracking game. So, this, and we talk about it umpteen times during the course of the local hurling championships, and the Premier Intermediate Championship is a competition that never fails to deliver. Fitzgibbon Cup rarely fails to deliver as well, Tom.
Yeah, and there was plenty of.
I thought it delivered in spades this year.
Yeah. Oh, did you? I couldn't disagree with any of that. There's plenty of stories out of it. Jamie Wall, who's someone I've gotten to know, I suppose, through being on the sideline covering games, but just chit-chatting with him every now and again. He's obviously linked up with his first cousin, Podge Collins, and it was a special moment for them. I know Jamie absolutely loves this competition. You could see it on the TG Cahir video and on any of the videos online, and he really knows the value of this competition. And I'd say you must remember that he had Aaron Gillan when they last won it, 2017, when Aaron Gillan, definitely outside of Limerick, wasn't a known hurler. Inside Limerick, he was probably wasn't a standout, but he used this competition and through Jamie's, well assembled squad and team and tactics, he used it to catapult him, I suppose, into the Limerick picture, and someone. It's not going to happen every hurler, but I think, guys, there's lessons in there that this is a valuable competition. And to pick up one other point, the Galway hurler, I can't think of his first name, McLaughlin from
Dean McLaughlin.
Dean McLaughlin, sorry, that's it, Dean. Yeah, I bet you if you had asked him, if you could ask him privately, I suppose, would he trade off playing in a half a game against Westmeath where he broke his thumb in a 31-point win in the first round of the National Hurling League, or would he rather have played this game that you described as beautifully as a fantastic final? Which would he rather? And I know it's great to play for your county, but I tell you, he was probably delighted his team won, but obviously gutted that he wasn't wasn't able to play because of injury. It'll show you that this competition deserves its place in the calendar. I know Henry Shefflin was given out when he got injured, but he actually got injured playing for Galway, not for Mary I. And you say Colin O'Rourke criticised the competitions, but I tell you,
Colin O'Rourke is criticising them. It's kind of an annual thing with him, criticising the Sigerson Cup, and the scheduling of it is his beef. But I can scratch my head and scratch my hat and scratch everything, but I can't think of a better time for it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, there's some people have suggested playing it in December, but newsflash to anyone out there: the students generally do exams in December, so I don't think that's a runner to be asking them to be travelling halfway across the country to play a hurling game when they're supposed to be sitting in an exam. I don't think that's feasible. So perhaps.
But I want to get back to Jamie Wall there, and you're saying he loves the competition. Yes, he loves the competition, but he loves the game of hurling.
Yes, indeed. Yeah,
I had occasion on a couple of times to touch base with him when he was in Kilmallock. He
was involved with this coach.
And the guy is immersed with a love of hurling, absolutely love of hurling, full stop, and he knows his hurling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think it's very hard to know about all these players at this age group. It's easier to know maybe about the senior inter-county players because they're established, but for him to go up and pick guys, that are maybe haven't emerged from the pack. And I heard him on the radio the other day. Someone described that, maybe these two teams didn't have the quality that the 2016 final would have had. But you see, when you come back to these two panels in maybe 5 or 6 years, or maybe 8 years as the case from 2016, if you look at these teams in 8 years, I tell you, you'll be looking at medals, Munster medals, and All Ireland medals with their counties and probably clubs and everything.
Spot on, Tom. Hindsight is a perfect science. You're absolutely spot on in what you're saying.
Yeah, spot so like these guys are talented. There's no doubt about it. It's just they're just going to take a couple of more years to make their stamp at senior and inter-county level. And that's not just the Limerick guys. That's the guys from Tipperary, Clare and Cork as well, who maybe some of them have already, in fairness, and more I'm sure will do so. But congratulations to Mary I and all connected And commiserations to you, Noel, after a superb run, having not lost the game pre-COVID, or sorry, post-COVID. That's their first loss, I think, in 15 outings in the competition. So a stellar record, but ended in Abbeydorney last Saturday. A team, Matt, another team we're talking about bouncing back in terms of Artsquil Reach. Monaleen certainly bounced back following that dreadful end to the Munster final that cost them the honours. They have booked their place in an All-Ireland final, a victory over Ballinasloe. Max Ivory, I think, Lake Namera, 15 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I can tell you that in the last 2 games, Max Ivory has scored 26 points, which is phenomenal scoring in 2 hours. Well, 2.5 hours, because there was extra time last week. And certainly, Monaleen definitely deserved it last, no question about it. And I was expecting Monaleen, even though I hadn't seen Ballinasloe, but from what I had heard from connections down in Killeedy, they reckoned that they were a good youthful side. Strange to say, Tom, it was Monaleen's second team. It was Ballinasloe's first team, actually. But they were quite a youthful side. Now, Galway put out a development squad in some of those pre-season competitions, and there are 3 or 4 of the Ballinasloe lads on it.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm not too clear on what development it was, but it will tell you of the type of quality that they had. But Monaleen overall, and I'd say they'll be forced to accept this and to accept it, is that they did not play as well as they played in the Munster final and lost it.
Right.
But like in the Munster final, they were hit with a goal tsunami right at the finish. But there was no question that they're being hit with anything like that this time.
Yeah.
They basically were on top from start to finish, 2 points ahead going into the end of normal time, and Galway or Ballinasloe got a couple of points to force it to extra time. Monaleen had moved a point ahead in extra at the start of extra time. Very, very unlucky not to get a goal immediately at the start of the second half of extra time, when Ben Hayes raced in from the right and unleashed a powerful shot that the goalkeeper, Shane Reynolds, who was the Ballinasloe goalkeeper, I think he just got to stick to it to skim it over the bar. Had that gone in, it was game, set and match. But anyway, Max Ivory, they added another point, and as did Harry Gleeson towards the finish. So, yeah, Monaleen, they had such a short turnover, Tom, that it was a bit of a challenge to them. Right. But they rose to the challenge spectacularly, in my view. And but again, I think I made the point here last week that I would expect that kind of a response from Monaleen, even though it was such a short turnaround. And they're worthy finalists, Tom, and it's a rematch with Drummondinch in the final. But Limerick have only won this competition once, and that was in 2015. And when Doon won it. But Doon were beaten in the Munster final by Killinall. But they went on to win the All-Ireland. And I know we'll be talking about it in greater length next week, because it's on Saturday week. I would be hoping for something similar this year, this time, Tom.
Yeah, I would say, in fairness, that's tremendous bounce back ability. I'm sure that crushing blow in the Munster final was still in their memories, but they quickly forgot about it and got over the line against the Galway side. So Drummondinch to come, as Matt said.
If you have a player of the caliber of Max Ivory, a finisher of his caliber, and somebody that's unerring from frees, you're halfway there. No question about it. Like, he has been unerring, and he has watched opponents. He had watched Paul Kennedy, who did all the damage with the goals the last time, miss a few frees early on. His opponent, this time Cathal O'Hanlon, missed a few frees early on. Max Ivory doesn't miss frees.
Well, there we go.
He doesn't fail to deliver. But they're very, very good players all around the field. Like, and they have a couple of experienced players right down the middle in the ageless Damien Cosgrave at fullback, Conor Nicholas centre back, Keano Dwyer centre forward. Apart from that, it's all very, very young players. and exciting players. Noel Clancy is a very exciting halfback, and they have players that, you know, they're all above average, you know, and then they have the finisher.
There we go. Yeah,
win the praise, score.
Simple old game sometimes, isn't it? Yeah. So we'll see how they fare out in the All Ireland. I was going to say Munster final, in the All Ireland final, and hopefully they can send Drum and Inch back without the trophy on this occasion. The Camogie front, Matt, the junior Camogie side, Limerick junior Camogie side, that is got underway last weekend. They were up in the capital against Dublin, but an agonising 1 point defeat for Dave Deedy's ladies side. Disappointing, Matt, not to be collecting some points to start the campaign, but they have a chance to bounce back facing Down on Saturday at 2 p.m. in Cappamore.
They have, and if I can just contextualise this, and I was speaking last week in this podcast about the consistency that David Deedy has built up over the 12 months that he's been in charge, especially with 22 players of his 31 strong squad who were all involved last year. Now, to further contextualise it, Tom, they went to Dublin to play Dublin last year and came home at the end of a 24-point drubbing.
Right.
Now, it was totally different on last Saturday. It was played at TU Blanchardstown. Dublin flew out of the traps, a goal and 3 points up in 6 minutes. And they're playing with a strong wind. But by half-time, Limerick had pulled it back to level terms. Now, it was in the third quarter that Dublin went ahead and got a 4 points advantage. Limerick pulled it back, and with 3 minutes to go, Limerick got a third goal, which put them a point ahead with 3 minutes to go. And they were on the threshold of a victory. But now Dublin scored 114. 9 of it was from frees. So the Dublin got 2 late frees, just edge them out by a single point, 114 to 3-7. So a very, 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 very encouraging performance by David Deedy and his girls. Now they're back in action in round 2 this weekend. They travel to Cappamore on Saturday, where they will take on Down at 2 o'clock. Now Down already have been winners in the opening round. They beat Antrim by 11 points to 7 last weekend. So it'll be a very, very interesting game, because we will be able to compare Limerick and Down of 2023 and Limerick and Down of 2024. So, I fancy that Limerick may go on and win this one.
Yeah, and that'll put them back in contention, I suppose, for the group as well, and get some points on the board at this, I suppose, relatively early juncture. But back the seniors will take, I suppose, precedence this weekend in terms of the headline news. They're away to Kerry in it's a Division 2A. I suppose it was restructured on these leagues a few years ago. It's
Division 1B, Tom.
1B, I should say, yeah. Which
now the restructuring of the league, in my opinion, is it was restructured last year into 1A and 1B. I think that was a very major step forward, I think. You know, because at least it has eliminated these one-sided games to a certain degree. You know, I'd be all for teams playing, you know, at their own level. And the more we can do right across the codes, and like with the integration coming down the tracks in 2027, which is fantastic. The more we can do to level the playing field and have counties, teams, and whatever, be it at county or club level, playing at their own level, and get rid of these one-sided games, and above all, get rid of that dreaded 2-word thing called walkover. So look, they're playing Kerry in Ballyhigh. Now it'll be Joe Quaid's first game in charge since his return. Kerry were promoted last year by virtue of winning Division 2A, in which they defeated Meath in the final. I think it was something like 14 points to 12 or something. There was only a point or two in it anyway. It was very close, and Meath had been in Division 1 not too very long ago. But it'll be interesting now. You know, in terms of form of Limerick and Kerry, we've no guideline. Other than that, was it 3 years ago they met in the junior final, or 4 years ago they met in the junior final in Croke Park, and Kerry won it. That is absolutely no guideline whatsoever. Joe Quaid has picked a very, very strong panel. We're obviously going to have a debutant in goals because our two goalkeepers from last year, Laura O'Neill, has transferred her allegiance to Treaty United for the coming year, and Claire Keating is gone abroad for the year. So we're going to have a debutant goalkeeper. But apart from that, it is very, very hard to know what way Limerick are going to line up. But they've been considerably strengthened. The panel has been considerably strengthened because we're going to have Rebecca DeLee back, which is absolutely massive. Like Quiva Lyons is back, Niamh Ryan is back. You know, the drift is back into the panel. Which augurs very, very well. And the experienced players that are there. And of course, we have Sarah Carey back.
Yeah,
it'll be very, very interesting to see will Sarah be starting. And like you have the Marion Quaids of this world, you have the Quiva Costellos of this world, you have the Mairead Ryans of this world, the Sophie O'Callaghan's of this world who've done it all before. I'd be very, very hopeful, Tom. And you're only taking a stab in the dark at this point because we've no forum guide for this year. We've no forum guide for Limerick and Kerry games. So, you know, it'll all be unfolded at the weekend. And it'll be very interesting. We'll wait with bated breath to see what Joe Quaid's first lineup in his second term back will be. I think it'll be very, very interesting. Now, he has a fantastic record with Limerick going back in 2014 and back further 2013, 2014, 15 and 16. Fantastic record. You know, it was like Limerick Hurlers now. Limerick Camogie was in dreamland in those years. But can he recapture it? I think he can. And he's a man that goes on forum. And when I say forum, just what he sees in training, who's playing well at a particular time. I think that informs his selection process. So I'd be very, very hopeful, Tom, of a winning start.
Yeah, I think the winning start will be vital, Matt. I think last year Limerick left it late to even stay in the division. And it's probably a division that Limerick can have aspirations to win. So a winning start would be vital towards that.
Oh,
you know?
Absolutely. Last year, I talk of squeaky bum time down in McNeville Park when you were there, I think, Tom.
Offaly, wasn't it? The Limerick
Against
last
Offaly,
round. Winner both for both teams.
Yes.
And, Limerick, I think, not until the final quarter, I think, maybe, or last 15.
You're absolutely right. And Claire Keating, who was playing up in the forwards at that stage, was absolutely on fire. You know, that day, unerring from frees, got a good goal, and it was a memorable day. And nobody could have expected that the same two teams would have met in similar circumstances in the championship.
Yeah. And
how Limerick ran right that particular day.
Obliterated Offaly, relegated them twice.
Obliterated is the word, and so you'd be hoping for more of that this time.
Yeah, I think maybe Joe Quaid must have been happy with Limerick getting the better of Offaly twice, and maybe that's what drew him back to the team. Said, "Geez, fair play to you, revenge for 194." So not easily forgotten around these parts. But nevertheless, we wish Joe, his captain Laura Fennelly, and Vice Captain Teresa Dorr and the rest of the panel the best for the season ahead. And hopefully we'll be talking this time next week about a victory and potentially a new look and a new invigorated Limerick team for the very Camogie leagues, that is in the Division 1B, that Limerick will be hoping that they can end up winning. Matt, we'll turn our attention now to football.
But before we finally go away from the small ball, the Limerick under 20 and minor teams were named during the week.
Right.
And they're just interesting selections. And both sides seem to be pretty strong. There's in the minor team, I think there's 6 or 7 from last year's squad, which will bring a bit of continuity. And I think there's even more. There could be 8 or 9 of the under-20s from the previous year's squad.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting. And of course, one Shane O'Brien is eligible for under-20 this year, which will be very, very interesting. So interesting time is ahead, Tom. But you must remember that the underage competitions are only around the corner.
Yeah, I think is it early April, very early April for the minors, and I think or the 20s are first, I think, and the minors are out in round 2. So, and the football equivalents are not a million miles away.
They're in March, I think, Tom. The football.
They're a bit earlier, and the under 20s men's football this year being run in a group format for the first time. So more games for the likes of Limerick to develop their panels, unlike the previous straight knockout format that probably didn't serve them any well at that grade. So speaking of the football, Sligo were the visitors to McNeville Park on Sunday last, and Sligo came away, Matt, with I believe a deserved 1-12 to 10 point victory over Limerick. 3 losses now on the bounce for Limerick. No league win for Limerick since, I believe, is it April 2022? That stat continues to widen, I suppose. We were calling for patience. I think the two of us in agreement with that in the last couple of weeks. But I think the word relegation, Matt, may enter the scenario here. Limerick are in desperate need of some results to fight that word off in the next few weeks.
Yeah. I called for patience last week, and I reiterate that call this week. And I know it's like beating an old drum at this stage, but like a squad that's bereft of 17 players that were there at the end of last year, it was always going to be a huge challenge. And like Division 3, you said to yourself, people they're inclined to be dismissive of Division 3 and Division 4, But the league over the years, the way it is structured, that basically all counties are playing at their own level, which I've spoken earlier about. So it's a very, very competitive league, Division 3, as we discovered when we won promotion back in 2022. But it's very, very disappointing, 3 defeats. And Tom, there's no longer a point in being apologetic about the word relegation, because it certainly comes into the conversation at this stage. You have 4 games left, 3 of which are away from home. Sunday against Westmeath, and then you have to travel to Wicklow, and you have to travel to Longford. Oh, sorry, not Longford, to Offaly.
Offaly, that's right, yeah.
And you have 1 solitary home game left, and that's against Clare. When former manager Mark Fitzgerald will be coming back to McNeville Park. And if realistically, and if you look at the tables, it's in exceptional cases that counties stay up with less than 6 points. So 6 points is the equivalent to 3 wins. Can we get 3 wins out of the remaining 4? It's going to be difficult. We need a real upturn in form to do so. And it starts on Sunday in Cusack Park in Mullingar against our bogey team. I struggle to find remember a time when we beat Westmeath. They beat us in a league final back at over a decade ago, and they seemed to be always a bogey team. When we were promoted from Division 3 2 years ago, they beat us in the Gaelic rounds, 112 to 1-6. They've always been a bogey team for some reason. But you've got to cast that aside, because Westmeath are in very, very good form at the moment, Tom. Like I'm correct in saying that they have 3 wins from 3.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Second only on score difference, I think, yeah.
So, this is top against bottom. And bottom away from home. It's going to be very, very, very difficult. It's going to continue as a difficult campaign for Limerick. But we've got to have patience, Tom, even if we go down to Division 4. We've got to have patience. It takes time to blood in players. That's what Jimmy Lee is trying to do at the moment. Himself and his management team. Now, Stephen Kelly has left the management team for now, I understand. But Jimmy Lee and his management team are doing their level best to turn this around, and we've got to bear with him. And I'm listening to people criticising Limerick footballers. I liberally use the word crank when I hear criticism. Like there's a story behind everything, and if we have to go down to come up back up, so what?
Yeah,
we've done it before. We've done it before, and we can do it again.
Yeah.
So what we need time and we need patience. And I know there's going to be listeners to this podcast, and they're going to be saying, "What's he waffling about?" Well, I'm telling the truth, Tom. The likelihood is that we're in a battle against relegation, and there's a strong possibility we'll lose it if we're pragmatic and honest.
Yeah, I think we're fairly realistic to say that, and I think it was probably a realistic thing at the start of the season, and that wasn't being too negative. It just looked at what was at Jimmy's disposal, and I know people. I saw a couple of comments online, people saying, where are they getting the players from? There's a lot of Newcastle West involvement. Obviously, Jimmy knows them well, but you can be sure that Jimmy has asked players, a bit like what Billy had before, where he asked 50 guys around the county to play. I'm sure Jimmy has asked players from various different clubs in various corners and parts of the county who will not commit. I mean, it's not a professional environment, in terms of he can't offer them extra terms to turn up. Like, if fellas don't want to play for Limerick, that's not on him, I don't think. I think that's on them as individuals. That's their choice. If players leave the country, going to Australia, etc., that's also on them. So he's working with what he has. He's brought it back. Some players, the likes of Danny Neville, has come back into the panel. Haven't seen him yet, but there's guys that come back in, who's managed to persuade that this is a worthy cause. And then there's guys that have continued on from previous years. So it's just a case of trying to blend that all together to get the right formula, and it's proving difficult so far. But I think you can be, it can be dismissive of Jimmy if you've never met him, and say, what's this guy up to, or what is his management team up to? But I tell you, if you've ever met Jimmy or Billy, they're cut from the same cloth, naturally enough, but they know everything, or they do everything for the betterment of Limerick. And I think it's only a matter of time maybe before the wheel turns in terms of results for Jimmy.
I couldn't agree more with you, Tom. Well said. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Jimmy Lee, since his appointment, has scoured the length and breadth of this county to try and get the best 15 footballers out in the field that he can.
Yeah, or the
this
best
this all nonsense about the keyboard warriors getting to work, and this all nonsense about Newcastle West and all that sort of thing. For God's sake, Newcastle West have been county champions for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
A whole lot of nonsense, that does not help the present situation. No. A whole lot of nonsense, that.
Definitely not, yeah. And I think I don't know the facts, but I'd say if Jimmy did list out the players that he had conversations with, I can tell you it wouldn't be in double digits, I'd say it'd be in triple digits. He would probably made sure that every avenue was explored for every position, every player that, he felt worthy of the cause. And obviously some of them couldn't commit, some of them wouldn't commit, and some of them have committed. So hopefully they'll start to turn things around this weekend away to Westmeath, a daunting prospect as it is, but nevertheless there is small bit of time still in their hands to potentially rescue this situation. Of course, Wicklow and Wicklow and Offaly are still pointless as well, I think.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Let's be optimistic. There's two teams that Limerick still have to play, and two teams that are obviously struggling for form as well. So all is definitely not lost at this point. And Limerick always raised their game against Clare, so they'll certainly have the potential to lower the banner in McNeville Park in the coming weeks as well. So points mightn't be too far away after all. So hopefully, as I say, we can start against Westmeath this weekend. Matt, the ladies football, they had a taste of defeat for the first time in 2024. They were in, I believe, Ballinamore in Leitrim. Disappointing outing for the ladies. Puts them in real jeopardy, I suppose, of missing out of the top four. They've it all to do really in the last two games. They're They'll bring up the table there in a second now, but they're currently outside of the top 4 cutoff on scoring difference. So a disappointing result up in Leitrim, albeit Leitrim are a formidable enough side.
Yeah, very, very disappointing. And there's 2 points I think I made last week, Tom, and they're certainly coming back. At this stage, I think, although Derry ran Longford quite close last weekend. First of all, now I've seen 3 games so far, and no doubt the first round, it was 2 points lost against Wicklow. I'd say in the draw with Longford, it possibly was a point gained, so it would be a point down. But the margin of victory over Derry and Kilkenny was going to come back to haunt us. I flagged that last week, Tom, and I didn't like flagging it.
Just look at it there, Limerick's scoring difference is +11. Longford's is +12. Fermanagh lead the way +59. I mean, I'm not sure the exact permutations who's to play who in there, but Limerick have played the 2 poorest teams in the competition. I don't think anyone would be offended if I say that. And their scoring difference has not matched what it should be, or not gone anywhere near where it should be. Like Kilkenny are conceding 20-something points a game. I think Limerick only scored 1-9 or something against them. Was it
last weekend? Fermanagh scored 10-12 against Kilkenny.
Yeah.
The week before, Leitrim scored 8-9 against Derry. We'll just give you an idea. I'm not saying that we should be, that we should be doing that, or but look, Tom, all is not lost here.
Yeah.
We've two home games, one against Fermanagh. Now Fermanagh will be coming with a mission because we knocked them out of the championship last year in the semi-final, above in Longford. So they will be coming with a mission. We've 2 games left, both at home. Now I understand that the Fermanagh game, I'm hearing through the website that the Fermanagh game, which was fixed for Cooley, is now in McNeville Park. So whoever is going to the match on Sunday would want to check out beforehand the venue, but I'm learning now that it's in McNeville Park as distinct from Cooley, which was originally fixed.
Yeah.
But it needs to be checked out. We've 2 home games against Fermanagh and Carlow. Two top sides, 2 of the top 3. So the fixtures as they came out at first, you must remember we've had 6 home games. The fixtures as they came out at first were ideal in many ways, in that you could ease yourself into the league, build up your points, and then be ready. Now, I think in all fairness, and this is no disrespect to Carlow, we didn't expect that when it come to play Carlow that they'd be a top 3 side. But it is what it is. We all knew from the outset that Fermanagh and Leitrim were going to be the big ones, but we went down to Leitrim. So now it's Fermanagh, and all the focus has to be on Fermanagh. And I think, to be brutally frank, now Longford's 2 remaining games, they would be our main contenders at the moment, or our main opposition, are against Wicklow and Leitrim. And I think both of them are at home, because Longford had their first 4 games away from home. Look, there is no way in a properly structured league that Limerick should have 6 games at home. I think the LGFA will have to look at that.
Definitely not.
I'm being honest, and I'm speaking against myself. Now they had every game except 1 away last year. I think that sort of arrangement is unsustainable. And I've been talking to the other counties who were on the road. I think Wicklow were on the road for the first 4 as well, they were telling me. And so the same with Longford, but we've 2 games to rescue the situation. We need a minimum, I would imagine, of 4 points, ideally 6.
Yeah.
Six could see us over the line. Very, very important in the development of the new management team and the new squad and what have you, that you get into the concluding stages of the league. Hugely important. Hugely important in my opinion, Tom.
Yeah, you really do want knockout football. Yeah, 6 points, Matt. If they could do it, put them onto 14, and I don't think I'd say it would probably be enough. Yeah, it's hard to see everyone above them. Certainly, if they go on 14, Carlow could only match that. So there's where the scoring difference could prove problematic. But nevertheless, I suppose that could be a bridge the Limerick will cross if they can put the 6 on the board, or indeed the 4. Obviously, a reminder: 3 points for a win in the ladies' football. Just to confirm the fixture, Matt.
Just looking at the table there again, Tom.
Sorry, I'll bring it back up again.
If you take a look at it there, were Carlow to lose this weekend, and it escapes me who Carlow are playing this weekend, but were Carlow to lose this weekend, and even if Limerick lost, if we beat Carlow in the final round,
both on 11, yeah,
we'll survive on the head-to-head, possibly. Yeah.
Assuming
where Longford end on 11 points and 3 counties end on 11 points, we could be in trouble.
Yeah, and Limerick and Longford closely matched on the scoring so far, but nevertheless, hopefully the ladies can bounce back from that Leitrim defeat. There is the fixture, Matt. You were correct. You can see it in the bottom half of the poster there. McNeville Park, 2 p.m. This Sunday, the 25th. Limerick and Fermanagh, and Limerick have had some great battles with Fermanagh in the last few years. There have been some thrilling games, so hopefully another one in prospect, and maybe it'll be the green of Limerick who can emerge victorious on this occasion. But
to be fantastic if we were to go into the final round with Carlow on 11 points and really in the mix at that stage,
Yeah, definitely could effectively become a straight shootout for third or fourth place, depending on all the results. But we'll know a lot more come Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening when all the results start to fly in. We'll see where Limerick are, and can they put or can they get to the semi-finals of the league once again? Matt, I think that just about covers it. There was one other story that I had brought to the Irish Examiner readers, and that was Gary Brennan has transferred his allegiance in the club front to Limerick club Ahan. Gary Brennan, of course, the former All-Star nominee from Clare, a tremendous Clare footballer, but a notable dual addition, Matt, to Ahan, obviously senior hurling and junior A football, I think. So a nice little one for Ahan to get up. Obviously, his connection is there. It was Niamh Mulcahy, or Niamh Brennan, as she is now known, the former Limerick Camogie player. So a nice little coup for Ahan to pull off to bring him on board.
Oh yeah, very big, very big cool. As you rightly said, he, we all know about his prowess as a Gaelic footballer, one of the finest footballers, I suppose, of his generation, one of the finest ever come out of Clare, but he's certainly equally adept at hurling.
Yeah,
would
have played for Ballier, Clondegad in football would have been his club. In West Clare, but Ballier then would have been his hurling, and he would have
been his hurling club. So he would have been playing at a top level. So he's certainly he's certainly going to be an addition to Ahan, and certainly one that they will relish at this stage. Because as years go by, division Section A of the hurling senior hurling championship is becoming harder and harder to crack. Because is it for the last 6 years? Well, no, but apart from South Liberty's cracking it against Patrickswell in 2022, it has been Patrickswell, Doon, Piercic and Kilmallock.
Yeah.
And God knows we need a break from that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I think hurling in the county needs a break from that as well. Now the same is happening a bit in senior football, and you'd be hoping that the emergence of Mungret may do something about it.
Yeah, definitely.
In both codes, Mungret are now a dual senior club.
Yeah, definitely.
You'd certainly be hoping so. But getting back to your original point, Gary Brennan, welcome to Limerick, Gary Brennan. Huge addition to Ahan.
Yeah, I think maybe he could start the trend now. A lot of Clare people seeing sense and coming over the side of the Shannon.
If you can't beat him, join him.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. I know we've good rivalry with the Clare folk, and I'm sure when come the football in a few weeks in McNeville Park, he'll be cheering on the banner, and obviously come championship in the hurling side of things, he'll be cheering on the banner. But good to see him in the Limerick hurling ranks and indeed football ranks as a hand. Probably look to try and do a little bit better in both of those. As I say, as you mentioned there, the senior hurling championship, trying to knock on that door. They've probably been ranked, Matt, for the last, I'd say, 7 or 8 years. They've probably been ranked 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th without fail. They've never been in danger of going out of senior hurling, but nor have they ever looked like winning it in the last 7 or 8 seasons. So hopefully the addition of Gary and maybe 1 or 2 youngsters coming in behind might shake it up.
Fantastic tradition of a hand. They headed the roll of honour until Patrick Swell took it a couple of years ago. So, there's no talk at all, no argument at all about the contribution that a hand have made to Limerick hurling over the years. Fantastic club down there. Saw him playing in a football final since Christmas. They played in the under 21B football final. They were beaten by Drum Broadford. But certainly a dual club, and trying to lift themselves up through the ranks in football as well. They're at the very top in hurling, and the next step is to try and make a breakthrough at the top. So, yeah, Gary Brennan, a big addition.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks everyone for listening. Feel free to share the podcast with family and friends, and we hope to catch you very, very soon on Treaty Talk.